Hey everyone, Ivy League Gaming here, and today we're playing Eternal Evolution. For today's video, we're going to go ahead and showcase how to combat the tank bond bosses and what to put together for your team and some fun strategies to try for Twilight Lands. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and go against the tank bond. This is still a bit early on. I could full auto most of these, but for sake of argument, we're going to go in and just show you a fight. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you something that's not the tank bond. That's actually very successful in the high stages for me. I will give Odd1 Gaming a shout. He was the first one that was like, oh, I tried this, and it was so much better. And now we have even better. We have Hagridon in the mix. Hagridon is really going to do well to help keep everyone alive and doing, well, more damage. So what we're going to do, even though this suggests the tank bond, so let's go ahead and take a look. So why the tank bond, right? So let's actually go back. I forgot to click it. So use the ancient class tank bond of tank to greatly reduce the enemy's attack speed. So this is suggesting that you take advantage of a buff that you're going to get by using tanks, right? So that's one way to go about this battle. You can see the details once you get into the battle here as well. Also, when you click tank, for every 10 basic attacks received by allied tanks within 5 seconds, triggers an energy shock that affects enemies within 10 meters, reducing their attack speed for 8 seconds. So this is something you can certainly try, that simple tank bond, but I'm going to show you another strategy as well. So that's why I kind of wanted to give a quick shout that it's not the only answer when it comes to what you're going up against. So, but for now, we're going against the tank bond. Simple enough. You could put in 2 tanks and take advantage of this. Keep in mind here, this is only 2 tanks. There's no use to try to put 3 for an even bigger bonus, but you do need 2 if you want this bonus. But like I said, let's actually show you what I have found to be the most successful against this boss specifically. So we have 2 healers, 2 vanguards. Screw the tanks. Although if you don't have these, you could probably go ahead and put in a tank instead of like Crete if you only have Leo. And then we're going to use Bailey. We're going to use my big old damage dealer and Bailey. Now, if you don't have Crete, you can maybe use Luke as your damage dealer and put in a tank here. Or if you don't have, you could also probably experiment and do 2 tanks and 1 healer. But this works really, really well. Oops, that is not the right. Let's go ahead and Boda and Leo. Yeah, let's do that one. So we're going to go the new summoner, but you can also use Gautier. Or the new Vanguard commander, but you can also use Gautier. Pain Rune. Prism Amulet if you have it. If you don't have Prism Amulet in here and you're only using Vanguards as your tank, just use whichever one has the best stats. And then overall, Flashpoint is going to be very strong in general. Horn of Healing is also good for Masrani specifically, but you want to kind of use Flashpoint for the sake of using this combination with Gautier or Hagridon in the Pain Room. This is not the tank bond, right? This is a really good example of you don't always need the exact thing to go against it. And this did better for me, much better for me, in high levels of Twilight last round when I was stuck, than actually going ahead and, let's see, okay, make sure we're on auto, then going ahead and using 2 tanks. Personally, I found that using 2 tanks against this really didn't help. And this was a spot where I was talking about the Generalist bomb before I even realized that the Generalist bomb stopped working. I did mention this in other videos, but I was so used to like suggesting that as a way to avoid getting one shot. And I used to use the Generalist bond here versus this tank boss as well, but we cannot use the Generalist bond. It does not do anything anymore. The tank bond, you could probably get away with using a more traditional team, or the kind of team you would use in, say, pushing campaign. You can use your Leo and Crete, or Leo in a tank, res boosting Bailey or Emma or someone, and then like a healer like Masrani or something in there too. So keep in mind, just try to experiment as well. But the tank bond, that was pretty much it. It's really good to use the double Vanguard, double healer strategy. It works really, really well. And it doesn't seem to be as important as some of the bonds. Like I said, energy, there's a lot of summons. Take advantage of that one. Maybe Hunter Bond, you really want to do that one properly as well because you're dealing with a shield and you want to make sure you can actually get that shield down to actually do damage to the boss and the minions. So that's something to think about, but that will be for another video. So overall, the best tanks, I'm just going to quickly ignore this here. When it comes to dealing with the best tanks for Twilight, you're probably the actual tank bond itself. Hercules is gonna be pretty strong, but because he has like has a shield there, that's gonna be really helpful, especially if you're talking about some of this other stuff here. He's gonna give everyone a shield. But when it comes to CC, if the boss or whatever you're fighting is not immune to CC, you can use Boar. You can use Oisa, but keep in mind that the crowd control effects of them are not going to be in place if we're going against a lot of the bosses. A lot of the bosses like this, CC immunity. If you see this, immune to all CC effects, that's not going to help. So keep that in mind if you are using tanks in this. I'm going to talk over what I was saying here too. Honestly, the tank bond is one I would mostly avoid if you don't have that strong Leo and Creed combination. You can try at lower levels using 2 tanks like it suggests, but if you're using your 2 best tanks and you really can't seem to push through, skip it and just pick another one. I can try to do guides for every single one of these, but honestly, some of them are just best avoided, and you gotta pick what's strongest for your account. Hope this discussion was a little bit helpful here. The tank bond is a pretty simple one, but I had to show the strategy using the Vanguards because they kind of rule. Vanguards and 2 healers can rock a lot of content, including your campaign, but don't forget them in Twilight. It's a surprising combination and works particularly well against those tank bond bosses in later stages. But alright guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Also be sure to check out my article on hellhades.com that goes along with this if you want a little bit more of a basic written guide format.